When Montana's wealthiest timber baron seeks a refined bride from the East, he receives a beautiful woman from Boston with a dangerous secret. She's the identical twin of a girl who committed suicide 5 years ago after being brutally assaulted, allegedly by him, during a drunken night in the city. She's come for revenge, planning his destruction from within his own home. But as she executes her plan, disturbing evidence emerges that the man who destroyed her sister was an imposter using his name, and now she must choose between completing her revenge or protecting the innocent man she's grown to love. Hit that like button and subscribe to discover if vengeance can transform into justice when the real predator is still hunting. Billionaire's bride seeks revenge for twin sister, but real Rapist impersonated him. Thomas Brennan stood at the edge of his empire watching the morning mist rise from 50,000 acres of Montana forest that stretched to the Canadian border. At 39, he controlled the largest private timber operation in North America, supplying lumber to half the continent while pioneering sustainable forestry that his competitors mocked until they saw his profits. But for all his success, the massive lodge he'd built stood empty of the one thing that mattered: family. The letter in his pocket represented his attempt to change that. Sarah Whitmore, 27, from Boston. Her response to his advertisement had been elegant and refined. I am a librarian seeking a life of purpose beyond city walls. Raised in Massachusetts society, but yearning for authenticity, I believe I could bring culture to your wilderness while learning its honest truths. My past has taught me that appearances deceive, and I seek a man whose character runs as deep as Montana forests. The photograph showed a woman of striking beauty, honey blonde hair, sapphire eyes, a smile that seemed to hold secrets. She looked like the kind of woman who could navigate both Boston salons and Montana winters with equal grace. What Thomas didn't know was that Sarah Whitmore had a twin sister, Emma, who had taken her own life 5 years ago after being brutally assaulted by a man claiming to be Thomas Brennan, the timber baron, during his business trip to Boston. Sarah had spent 5 years planning this moment, infiltrating his life, gaining his trust, then destroying him as he'd destroyed Emma. The train arrived in Whitefish on a crystal October morning when the larch trees had turned gold, making the mountains look like they were all fire. Thomas waited at the small station, unexpectedly nervous. He'd negotiated with corporations, faced down environmental protesters, survived a logging accident that should have killed him. But something about this mail-order bride arrangement unsettled him. When Sarah stepped onto the platform, Thomas felt the world shift. She was more than beautiful. She was magnetic, with an intensity that made him feel seen in a way he'd never experienced. Miss Whitmore, he offered his hand, noting how she hesitated before taking it. Mr. Brennan. Her voice was cultured honey with an undertone of something darker. You're exactly as I pictured. From the advertisement, from my research, I believe in knowing who I'm binding my life to. And what did your research tell you? Sarah studied him with those sapphire eyes that seemed to catalog every detail. That you're a man of contradictions, ruthless in business but pioneering in conservation, wealthy but living simply, powerful but lonely. That's remarkably accurate. I'm good at reading people. It's a survival skill. The drive to his lodge took 3 hours through wilderness that grew progressively wilder. Sarah watched the landscape with an intensity that suggested she was memorizing every detail, every turn, every landmark, every potential escape route. It's isolated, she observed, 60 miles to the nearest town. Does that concern you? On the contrary, isolation can be useful. Thomas glanced at her, puzzled by the phrasing. Most women would find it frightening. I'm not most women, Mr. Brennan. I thought my letter made that clear. The lodge appeared through the trees like something from a fairy tale. 3 stories of logs and stone with windows that captured the mountain views, and a design that seemed to grow from the landscape rather than impose upon it. You built this? Sarah asked, and Thomas heard something like pain in her voice. With my own hands mostly. Took 5 years. 5 years, she repeated it like an accusation. You started building this 5 years ago. Yes, why? No reason, just timing is everything, isn't it? Inside the lodge was even more impressive. Soaring ceilings, massive fireplaces, furniture crafted from the timber of Thomas's own land. But Sarah's eyes went to the photographs lining one wall. Thomas with various people at different stages of his life. She stopped at one, showing him at what appeared to be a formal event wearing a tuxedo. When was this taken? The Forestry Association Gala about 6 years ago in Seattle. The only time you'll ever see me in a tuxedo. I hate formal events. You never attend them. Almost never. That Seattle event was an exception because I was receiving an award. I haven't been to a city for more than a day since. Sarah's hand trembled slightly as she touched the photo. Never been to Boston? Never. Why do you ask? Just curious about your travels. Martha, his housekeeper, appeared with warm greetings and warmer coffee. She was a widow from the nearby Blackfeet Reservation who'd been with Thomas for 10 years and had the ability to see through people like they were made of glass. You're too thin, she told Sarah bluntly, and you're carrying something heavy. I can see it in your shoulders. Sarah smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. We all carry things, don't we? Some loads are meant to be shared. Others need to be put down before they crush you. That evening, Thomas showed Sarah the library he'd built, an entire wing filled with books, his one indulgence. You weren't lying about being a librarian, he said, watching her reverent examination of the collection. I never lie about books. They've been my only honest companions. What about family? Sarah's face went still. I had a twin sister, Emma. She died 5 years ago. I'm sorry, how did she? Oh, and suicide. She was hurt by someone. She couldn't live with it. Thomas moved closer, instinctively wanting to comfort. That's horrible. Was the person caught? No, he used a false name, apparently, was he? Or maybe not. Maybe monsters just know how to hide in plain sight. If you know who it was, I know who he claimed to be. Sarah turned to face him fully, those sapphire eyes burning with cold fire. Thomas Brennan, the timber baron from Montana. The silence stretched like a held breath. Thomas felt the blood drain from his face. That's impossible. Is it? You're Thomas Brennan. You're a timber baron. You're from Montana. I've never been to Boston. I've never met your sister. Someone used my name. Convenient story. It's the truth. Sarah, look at me. Do you really think I could do something like that? Sarah studied him for a long moment, and Thomas saw the war in her eyes, the plan she'd come with versus the man she was meeting. I don't know, she said finally. That's why I'm here, to find out who you really are. The next weeks developed into a strange dance of investigation and attraction. Sarah had come to destroy Thomas, but the man she found didn't match the monster she'd hunted. He was gentle with his employees, respectful with women, and had alibis for every trip to Boston her sister's attacker had claimed to make. You're investigating me, Thomas said one evening, finding her going through his business records. Yes. Finding what you expected. No, finding something more confusing. You've never been to Boston, but someone using your name was there 5 times in the year before Emma died. How do you know? Sarah pulled out a folder she'd brought with her mom, hotel records, receipts, witness statements. I've spent 5 years tracking him. He stayed at the Copley Plaza Bay, out at the Oak Room, attended society events, claiming to be you. Thomas examined the evidence, his expression darkening. These signatures, they're good forgeries, but not perfect. And this man in the hotel security photo, he looks similar to me, but younger, slighter. You're saying someone impersonated you. I'm saying someone has been using my name for years. The question is why? To hurt women and escape consequences. Or for something bigger. Sarah, some of these dates correspond with timber deals I lost. Contracts that fell through because of last-minute complications. You think this is about business? I think someone has been sabotaging me while using my name as cover for other activities. Sarah sank into a chair, 5 years of certainty crumbling. If you're not him, then who is? Someone who knows enough about me to be convincing. Someone with access to my business information. Someone who benefits from my destruction. Your competitors. Or someone closer. Sarah, I need to ask you something difficult. Exactly what did this man do to your sister? Sarah's hands clenched. He charmed her at a charity event. Claimed to be you in Boston for secret timber negotiations. He drugged her drink, took her to a hotel room, and destroyed her. She woke up alone, brutalized, with a note saying no one would believe her over Thomas Brennan. Christ, Sarah, I'm so sorry. She tried to report it, but Thomas Brennan, the timber baron, was supposedly in Montana that night, according to all records. The police thought she was lying or confused. The shame killed her. Thomas stood pacing with barely contained rage. We need to find who did this. You came here for justice, so let's get it. The real justice against the real monster. Why would you help me? I came here to destroy you. Because someone destroyed your sister using my name. That makes it my responsibility. And because, he paused, struggling with words. Because what? Because despite everything, despite knowing you came here to hurt me, I'm falling in love with you. Sarah laughed, bitter and broken. You can't love someone who planned your destruction. Can I? You're brilliant, determined, loyal to your sister's memory. You're seeking justice, not blind revenge. You investigated instead of just attacking. And every evening when we talk, when you forget to hate me, I see who you really are beneath the grief. And who is that? Someone worth loving, someone worth fighting for. That night, Sarah found herself crying for the first time since Emma's death. She'd built her life around revenge, and now that foundation was cracking. Worse, she was feeling things for Thomas she'd never expected. Respect, attraction, even trust. Martha found her on the porch watching the stars. Heavy load getting heavier, the older woman asked. I don't know what to do. I came here with such certainty. Certainty is overrated. Truth is better even when it's complicated. I think I'm falling for him. How sick is that? I came to destroy him, and I'm falling in love with him. Maybe you're falling in love because he's not who you thought. Maybe your heart knows what your head is still figuring out. But if he's innocent, then I've wasted 5 years. Emma's killer is still out there. Then find him, with Thomas, together. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Thomas's lawyer, David Mitchell, arrived for routine paperwork and saw Sarah. My God, he breathed. Emma, Sarah went rigid. You knew my sister, David went pale. No, you just look like someone I met once in Boston. When? Thomas's voice was dangerous. 5 years ago at a conference. I thought you'd never been to Boston, David. It was personal, not business. Sarah pulled out her phone, showed him Emma's picture. This was my twin sister. Did you meet her? David's hand shook. She was at the hotel bar. We talked briefly. The night she was attacked. I don't know anything about that. Thomas stepped forward. David, you've been my lawyer for 8 years. You have access to all my signatures, my schedules, my business plans. Did you impersonate me? That's absurd. Is it? You're younger than me, but similar looking. You know enough about my business to be convincing. And you were in Boston when Emma was attacked. You can't prove anything. Sarah smiled, cold as winter. Actually, I can. I have DNA evidence from Emma's assault kit. The police couldn't match it to anyone in the system, but they can match it to you. It was a bluff. The police had bungled the evidence. But David didn't know that. He broke not completely, but enough. It wasn't supposed to happen like that, he said. I was just supposed to make contacts disrupt your deals. But when I was pretending to be you, women were interested. Important women. I could be someone significant, not just your lawyer. So you raped them? Sarah's voice could have frozen flame. No, not. Emma was different. She was beautiful, interested. We had drinks, things got out of hand. You drugged her. She was willing at first, until she wasn't, and then you brutalized her and left her with my name, Thomas said. You destroyed her and implicated me. I panicked. I never meant. Sarah pulled out a recorder. You've just confessed to assault and impersonation. The police will be very interested. David lunged for the recorder, but Thomas caught him, slamming him against the wall. You destroyed an innocent woman. You used my name to do it. Give me one reason I shouldn't kill you right now. Because you're not a killer, Sarah said quietly. You're better than that. Better than him. Let the law handle him. The police arrested David that night. The investigation that followed revealed he'd impersonated Thomas at least a dozen times, sabotaging deals and assaulting 3 other women who'd been too frightened or ashamed to come forward. Emma had been the only one who tried to report it, and the only one who'd paid with her life. Sarah stood in the lodge's great room, watching the fire, feeling empty. 5 years of purpose gone. Her enemy vanquished, but not the one she'd prepared for. What now? Thomas asked, joining her. I don't know. I built my entire life around destroying you. Now you're innocent, David's arrested, and I have nothing. You have justice for Emma. But not Emma. Justice doesn't bring her back. No, but she'd want you to live, wouldn't she? Sarah laughed bitterly. I don't know how. For 5 years, revenge was my only purpose. Then find a new purpose. Like what? Like us. Sarah turned to him. There is no us. I came here to destroy you. But you didn't. You found the truth instead. And along the way, something else happened. Thomas saw, I love you, Sarah. Not despite what you planned, but because of it. You loved your sister enough to dedicate your life to avenging her. That kind of love redirected could be magnificent. You can't love someone who wanted you dead. I can love someone who wanted justice, who was strong enough to seek truth instead of blind revenge, who looked past her pain to see me for who I really am. And who are you? A man who's been alone too long, who built an empire but has no one to share it with, who fell in love with a woman seeking to destroy him and doesn't care because she's the only person who's ever seen him completely. Sarah was crying now. I don't deserve this. I don't deserve you. Neither of us deserves anything. We just choose. I choose you. The question is, what do you choose? I came here as Sarah Whitmore, but that's not even my real name. I'm Sarah Chen. I lied about everything. Except the pain, that was real. The love for your sister was real. And I think what you're feeling now is real too. How can you trust me? Because you could have destroyed me without investigation, could have hurt me a dozen ways by now. Instead, you looked for truth. That's not the action of a monster, but of someone seeking justice. Sarah moved closer, close enough to touch. I'm broken, Thomas. Emma's death broke something in me that might not heal. Then we'll be broken together. I've been broken since my parents died, since I chose isolation over connection. Maybe two broken people can make something whole. That's not how it works, isn't it? We've already done the impossible, turned revenge into justice, enemies into whatever we are now. What are we? Thomas took her hands. We're two people who found each other through tragedy, who've seen each other's darkest possibilities and chosen light instead. Marry me, Sarah. Not the fake marriage you planned, but something real. You can't be serious. I've never been more serious. Marry me and let's build something from these ashes. I don't even know who I am anymore. Then discover it with me. Sarah Chen, Sarah Whitmore, whoever you choose to be, I love all versions. Sarah looked at this man she'd come to destroy, who'd instead helped her find justice, who offered love where she'd expected hate. Emma would think this is insane. Would she, or would she want you to live to love, to find happiness despite the darkness? Sarah thought of Emma vibrant and loving before that night destroyed her. She would want Sarah to live to find light, to choose love over eternal vengeance. Yes, Sarah said finally. Yes, I'll marry you, not as Sarah Whitmore, but as myself. Sarah Chen, sister of Emma, who came for revenge and found redemption. They married a month later after David's trial began. It was a small ceremony in the lodge with Martha as witness and Emma's photograph on the altar. Sarah wore a simple white dress and carried wildflowers Emma had loved. Do you take this woman knowing her past, choosing her future? The minister asked. I do. Do you take this man forgiving yourself, choosing love over vengeance? I do. They kissed and Sarah felt something she hadn't experienced in 5 years. Peace. David Mitchell was convicted of assault, impersonation, and fraud. He received 20 years in prison. 3 other women came forward finding courage in Sarah's story. A victims fund was established in Emma's name, funded by Thomas and managed by Sarah. On the first anniversary of their marriage, Sarah stood at Emma's grave in Boston, Thomas beside her. I found him, Em, she whispered to the stone. Not the one I expected, but the real one. He's in prison. And I found something else. Love. The kind you always said I deserved. I know it's strange loving the man I thought was your killer, but he's not. He's good and kind and helps me remember who I was before the anger. She placed flowers, the wildflowers from Montana that grew impossibly in Boston soil. She would have liked you, Sarah told Thomas as they walked away. I would have liked her. Anyone who could inspire such loyalty must have been extraordinary. She was, and she wouldn't want me to live in darkness. No, she'd want me to live, fully, completely, even happily. It took me 5 years to understand that revenge wouldn't bring her back, but love might bring me back. 2 years later, Sarah gave birth to twins, daughters they named Emma and Hope. When the girls were old enough, they would tell them about their Aunt Emma, about how tragedy can lead to truth, about how revenge can transform into justice, and how sometimes the person you come to destroy becomes the person who saves you. Do you ever regret it? Thomas asked one night, watching their daughter sleep. Coming here to destroy me, how can I regret the path that brought me to you? I came as an avenging angel and became a wife, a mother, a whole person again. Emma's death nearly destroyed me, but seeking justice for her brought me to life. And if David had really been me, Sarah considered, then I would have destroyed you and destroyed myself in the process. Thank God for truth, even when it's complicated. Thank God for you, even when you came to kill me. They stood together in their daughter's nursery, two people who'd found each other through the darkest possible circumstances, proving that sometimes vengeance can become justice, justice can become understanding, and understanding can become love. Years later, when the twins and how their parents met Thomas and Sarah, would share a look and say, your mother came to Montana seeking something important, and she found it, just not in the way she expected. It was true if incomplete. The full story would wait until they were older, when they could understand that love sometimes grows in the most unlikely soil, in the ashes of revenge, in the ruins of assumptions, in the space between who we think someone is and who they truly are. Sarah never forgot Emma, never stopped grieving her loss, but she learned that the best revenge against those who destroy is to build the best answer to death is life, and the best memorial to lost love is to love again, harder, deeper, with the wisdom that comes from knowing how easily it can all be lost. The timber titan and his vengeful bride who became something neither expected, partners in justice, in healing, in the strange alchemy that transforms the worst intentions into the best outcomes, proving that sometimes we find exactly what we need when we're looking for something else entirely.